Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and in today's video let's discuss which autobrake to choose for your landing and if you need to use one at all. We're going to start with the second question first because that is the easiest to answer. Do you need to use an autobrake during landing at all? The answer to that is a clear no. Even though it is recommended to use an autobrake because it is able to apply simultaneous braking, while a pilot applying manual braking would always use one side a little bit more than the other side, thereby increasing brake temperatures on one side further than the other, it is absolutely permissible to land Airbus aircraft without autobrake. Indeed, in my former operator on the Boeing 737, it was not permissible to land without autobrake. However, therefore, I was rather surprised to find out in my new operator that it is no problem to land without autobrake at all, at least to the new operator. Now, why would we still want to use an autobrake though? As I already mentioned, we want to make sure that our brakes are used evenly, and that is one side of the story. The other side of the story is that we need to be able to somehow calculate our required landing distance. Now, the Airbus performance tool is not able to calculate a landing distance without an autobrake in use because they don't know how you want to modulate the braking yourself, which is kind of logical if you think about it. If you go into the landing calculation over here, then we can go ahead and figure out a couple of basics. Like right now, we can use the performance calculator to do some basic mathematics, and then we're going to go ahead and do a couple of little bit more advanced stuff. So 5 degrees centigrade, QNH is going to be 1019, and all that good stuff. All of this goes into the landing calculation, but you will find out in a few moments that things can be much easier. So elevation 172, runway track 091. It's a dry runway. We have 0 runway slope, the landing distance available, 2,300 meters. The approach speed is going to be somewhere in the region of about 130 knots, I would say. But we can check the exact over here, so 139 indeed. And we come in at a landing weight. Let's see what that's going to be. So 2,400 kilos, we're going to use about 500, so 59.8. Yay! And now we have completely filled out our configuration tool, so now we can go ahead and start calculating. Yay! And that took quite long. But things are much easier to do. So first of all, let's have a look into the settings that we can find over here. The first one we've got is maximum manual braking, 1,335 meters, and then we got 2 autobrake settings down there. Do note, however, that those are filtered data, so they are multiplied with a certain safety factor, and so on. If you need to make a quick decision, you need to be more or less familiar with your airplane's performance. So let's now do the quick decision model. If we have a look into our airport chart down here, we're landing a runway 9 right, so we can see that we got an exit over here at Charlie, which is like just shy of halfway down the runway, and then we got exit Bravo at the end, which is almost completely down the runway. Now obviously there is going to be a scale somewhere on that chart, down here it is, so you could take that scale and you could measure the distance to your exit. That is basically what we used to do at my former operator. Now, if you just need to make a quick decision though, say for example because you've done a swing over to a different runway, then that is not so practical. So for that reason, let's do a little bit of guesswork. Obviously, this is not the preferred method of doing these things. This is just if you need to make a very quick decision. Now, landing on 9 right, the first exit Charlie is a little bit less than halfway down the runway. Halfway down is about 1,150 meters, or 1,170 it is, so just shy of it, say it's about 1,000 meters down the runway. Can we make that? Or not? Let's check. So, a quick rule of thumb here for figuring out your landing distance using the different autobrake settings is this. If you want to use autobrake medium, you take your gross weight, and be sure that you have kilograms over here, not pounds, and you multiply it with 2. So let's say we've got a 60-ton gross weight. Then we're going to take 60 times 2, which makes for a landing weight, for a landing distance of about 1,200 meters. Now, if you want to use Autobrake low, you're going to multiply with 3. So 60 times 3 gives us 1,800 meters of landing run. Now, therefore, for our decision over here, can we make 1,200 meters to take Charlie? No, we can't. But Bravo, which is a guesstimated 2,000 meters down the runway, we can easily do using Autobrake low, which gives us 1,800 meters landing run, and we would even have a little bit of runway to spare that we could use later on in order to have the airplane roll down a little bit further, take out the Autobrakes a bit earlier. Now there is one more decision that you can make over here, and that's as follows. If you know how the Autobrake logic works, then you know that the different Autobrake settings, low, medium and max, basically are just different deceleration rates. So the higher the setting, the quicker the airplane decelerates, but the actual speed of deceleration is only determined by the Autobrake setting. However, this does not mean that a continuous or that a certain brake pressure is associated with a certain Autobrake setting. Instead, the opposite is the case. If you've got a dry runway, then Autobrake low has a certain deceleration rate. Autobrake medium has a certain deceleration rate as well. If you've got a contaminated runway, you're still aiming for the same deceleration rates, but you will need a completely different brake pressure in order to achieve those. And now the thrust reversers start to come in important. If you use the thrust reversers, you will obviously achieve quite a braking effect without any wheel brakes being used. And the effect of the deceleration of the thrust reversers might be more than sufficient in order to fulfill the demands of the Autobrake setting. Now, for Autobrake low, generally on a dry runway, it is true that using maximum reverse is going to provide greater deceleration at high speeds than the Autobrake would. For that reason, if you want to reduce your brake temperature, you can leave the Autobrake off, use maximum reverse thrust on that dry runway, and therefore have the engines absorb the energy rather than your wheel brakes doing it. The advantage of that is that your brakes are going to stay cool, while the disadvantage is that your noise emissions are going to go up. Ultimately, depends on pilot decision as to what you want to do, and obviously local airports might have local requirements, so airports might have information like you're not allowed to use more than idle reverse unless absolutely needed. Now, in any case, the recommendation I would personally give over here is if you've got a short turnaround planned, let's say you're on an EasyJet flight or a Eurowings flight with just half an hour of turnaround, then it might be an idea to keep the Autobrake off and use maximum reverse instead of using a certain Autobrake setting. Most importantly, because the greatest part of the energy is going to be absorbed at high speeds. Remember, the speed is always squared in formulas like this, so any speed that you can lose without using the wheel brakes is going to significantly lower your brake temperatures. So, I do hope that you found this video interesting. I do hope that it shed a little bit of insight into the usage of the Autobrake and the factors that the crew can take into decision. I do hope that you learned something. I do hope that you liked the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like on YouTube as well, as it does really help out the channel. Be sure to also leave a comment to let me know if the explanation was clear, if there was anything that I can improve on my explanations, or if you are a pilot as well, and if you use the same techniques, or if you're using different techniques. I'm very much looking forward to your input. As always, if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and finally, if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.